All right. Let's see here. Today is January 20th. January 20th. Today's Tuesday, January 20th, 2015, and I am at the Beaverton Public Library. I just got off bus number 78 about an hour and a half ago. I fell asleep on my way here, so I was assaulted on the bus, the usual, by Gabriel, and it was the voice of a young man who woke me up. And when I woke up, he was in the middle of a fight with an old man, and I'm not exactly sure what they were saying, but what he communicated to me was that there's going to be a future tribulation of some sort, a problem, and I gave it right back to him. Catching up, I think the last time I did a video was on the 15th. My telephone was stolen at Operation Night Watch on Friday night. Today's Tuesday, so that was 5 nights ago, so I haven't been able to keep up with what's going on and keeping the church up to date. I do have a list of information here, 3 and flip it, pages of information that I have, tons of information, things that have happened, which will eventually catch up somewhere down the line, and I want to make sure that whoever's been hit and involved is up to date with what is going on. On the 16th and the 17th, I was hit as usual, but on the 18th, I was hit on bus 12, route 12, bus number 2881, and I was on my way to TIGARD. When I got there, I called the 911 operator, and they sent me a TIGARD police officer whose name was KACI MACE. For some reason or another, the name reminds me of KACI Treat, and MACE, the first name KACI, reminds me of KACI Treat, but then the word MACE reminds me of the 4 African American women who maced me on bus 148 back in 2009, the year that Michael Jackson had died. She was a blonde woman. She was about 5'8" or 5'9", and we talked in the parking lot of Fred Meyer's in TIGARD. I exploded because she would not stop, basically indirectly pissing me off, saying things, sort of like she was telling me that I needed a rape test from a hospital. I had already gone on the 1st of January to OHSU, and OHSU wouldn't take the test. Basically, I was rejected out of the hospital, so, and I think there's a video on that, and several photographs on what had taken place that day. So she used that to start pissing me off, and then she said some other stuff, and the more she talked, it was just, just obvious that she wanted it. You know what I mean? She wanted it. 2 other officers came up behind her. She had given me her card, but since she didn't write down a police number on it or the names of the other officers, I gave her back the card. I addressed several of the issues. Basically, I'm being stalked from place to place. Those things need to stop. A lot of things were addressed, and I'm probably more than sure that the police camera was on. So I exploded because of what was going on, and of course I go into Fred Meyer's and the community comes out again. So one thing leads to another. It was a bad scene. When I got downtown on the 18th, I went into the library where either my lunch didn't set straight, but I blacked out. They came out again a second time, and they did that. Called it in, but it resolved nothing. I went, I guess this was on Sunday. On Monday, that Sunday night, I was again assaulted, and on Monday morning, I guess Monday morning about on Monday morning about 1:30 a.m. in the morning, I addressed the issue. The police was called, and they wouldn't show up, but they showed up indirectly. At first in Ankeny, they didn't come to me. They went to another incident, and I just lit the fire under them, and let them have it, preaching against what they were doing. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I tried confronting John on the fact that he was the president of a seminary, and what he was doing was wrong. In summary, if you saw the video, you'd probably be kind of aggravated at some of the things that I had to say, but those things needed to be said because it pertains to everything that's been going on. That morning, I think that morning I went to 24 hours to work out. When I got there, they've been putting stuff in my water. They've been putting drugs in my water. So, as soon as I sit down, I black out. When I went to 24 hours, I got sick. I blacked out. They have two locker rooms. I went into a locker room where one of the smaller of the two locker rooms in the pro area. When I went into the smaller locker room, blacked out, they came out, and they did that again, and they stuck a needle under my right foot. And all the time I was working out, they wouldn't stop coming out. Afterwards, this was on the 19th, the next day, so it was Portland Rescue, and then 24 hours, I went to Powell's bookstore to get some coffee, but I couldn't, for some reason, my body wouldn't sit right. When I got to Powell's, I got a cup of water, and I just sat there trying to read my Bible. The new NIV that I had gotten from a Grace Community Church, and I blacked out right there in front of the window. They came out again. When I say they, I'm making reference to John MacArthur, Gabriel Franklin, Guy Franklin, and members of the gay community that follows me and stalks me from place to place. And they sit in the background, and they wait till I nod off. When I nod off, then they come out. And what they do publicly to humiliate, basically to take away any kind of credibility for a ministry that I do publicly, the preaching, namely the preaching and the writing. So at Powell's bookstore, I got hit a third time. So from the 18th, which was bus 12, the library, Portland Rescue, 24 hours, Powell's. Since it was Martin Luther King Jr. Day, birthday or whatever, I felt like the Lord was calling me to say something to the public in regards to what was going on, because I had spoken to Powell's worker in the store downtown, and spoke to the worker behind at the coffee shop, and he says, well, he didn't see anything, he doesn't know what I'm talking about, and then I later on found out that there was a switch in workers. So the one that I was working to was probably not there, but the one that actually saw what was going on left, and the one that I was talking to was the replacement. I went and spoke to the manager and explained to him what was going on. Before I spoke to the manager, I was cut off by this woman who looked like she was a combination of MacArthur and Gabriel. She was a blonde woman, an old woman, but for some reason he gave it to me. So I spoke to him and I explained to him what was going on with MacArthur and I, and what's been going on for the last several years, and that he doesn't approve of my ministry, and he didn't allow me to graduate from the seminary, and on and on. And I just explained to him what was going on in the bookstore and what was going on in Portland, along the West Coast. He took the information. I don't know if you ever called the police or not, and made a report. Afterwards, I basically went downtown to the Pioneer Square area and just opened up the scriptures and preached from 10:30 to about noon or so, and basically just addressed all the issues. I mean, there were so many issues to address that I felt like after being hit so many times with the same thing, an old woman following you from place to place, giving you oral sex, vaginal sex, and anal sex, and leaving you in pain in your genitals, something had to be said. The police department would not respond any other way other than to say that we're not taking a report and we're not getting involved. And that was basically their response. After preaching, and what I basically preached on was Genesis 1:26, the fact that we are the creation of God, Romans 1:18 through 32, that God has basically turned man over to a life of homosexuality and sin, and Ephesians 2:11 through 13, that we, as Gentiles, nations, unbelievers, we have been excluded from the Commonwealth of Israel. We've been excluded from a life of God and having a relationship with Christ, and the only way we can reconcile that is through the blood of Christ. I also had addressed the issue of slavery and the division between, Africans and the English, and how in the United States we try to present ourselves as the country that unites the U.S., the country that unites Africans and Europeans and English. And I said, no, that's not true. We don't. I take the other position. We don't unite the two nations. But here, this is where slavery took place, lynchings took place, the Klan is out, there's homosexuality, there's all kind of debauchery and sin. So it's a lie, for us to present ourselves one way when in reality we're the opposite. We can't present ourselves as a nation who unites the nations when they really divide. There's still slavery, there's still segregation, there's still racism, there's still discrimination, there's still all of these things going on. And so, but in Christ, we could be united through the blood of Christ. It was God who created the division in Genesis 11, and it is God now who unites us in Ephesians 2:11 through 13. So the division was in Genesis 11, but the unity is only in Christ. God didn't want us to be united in Genesis. From Genesis until now, it's been division by language, by culture, by race, by color, by nationality. It was God who made the division because he didn't want towers built and for man to reach heaven. But then he unites man under one banner, that is the banner of Christianity, in Christ and in the blood of Christ. So that was the message. Their response, and then of course I called them to salvation. They allowed me to pray, but then their response was at the mall in Portland, and their response was that afterwards I went to use the restroom in the basement, and they sent 3 white Hispanic young officers, young people probably around the age 21 or 25, banging on the toilet door before I could even finish, and demanding that I come out of the bathroom. After I was done wiping, I was not allowed to flush the toilet, demanding that I leave the bathroom right now. And I basically asked them, what is it that I had done wrong? And they never gave me any reason as to what I did wrong. But that was, as a community, that was their hit against me because of the preaching, because of the response that I had given to them, rejecting the homosexuality, rejecting what Gabriel had done. So they weren't. So through these 3 security officers, they were telling me that I was trespassing. This is private property. And when I tried to clarify from them what the problem was, they wouldn't tell me what the problem was. They basically just said, you're on private property, you're not wanted here, you need to leave. And I was wearing a Jesus shirt. The shirt says Jesus is Lord. And underneath it was John 20:24. So because I was wearing that white t-shirt and I walked into mall. They didn't approve, so they asked me to leave. There was 2 males and 1 female. The female got louder and louder as I got closer to her. When I was standing directly in front of her, she says that I had foil. I had salt and foil. I didn't know what that meant. The guy that actually went in, the Spanish guy that actually went in to drive me out, went into the toilet, and I asked him, well, are you looking for drugs? Because there's nothing in there. He went into where the paper, where you, the paper where you put on top of the toilet. He was looking in there to see if there was any drugs in there. And I'm thinking, you've mistaken me for someone else. This is the 3rd time that your security has come after me under the accusation of me doing drugs. And I'm not a drug dealer, and I don't do drugs. I don't push drugs. I don't smoke drugs. I don't do anything with it. So, and I'm thinking, well, are you responding this way because of the message that I just gave? I'm a Christian, not a criminal. And so they asked me to leave. The Klan in them came out. They got loud. I mean, just hateful loud, just screeching loud. I was under the impression that the guard, the one that had ushered me out, had mace in his hands, and that he was going to mace me in the face. I later on found out that the intent was for me to be maced and eventually be killed. Now, I don't have any proof whatsoever, but the way they dealt with me was more or less as if I had gone into one of the stores and stolen something and was hiding it, rather than just a patron going into the mall and going there to use the bathroom. And so I raised my voice and asked them openly, what is my crime that I've committed that they are treating me this way? And they basically said, you need to leave the mall right now. You need to go. You need to leave. You need to go. And it's like, okay, fine, I'll leave and go. But what was my crime? What did I do wrong? And they says, just leave. Just, you're trespassing. It's like, whoa. So I grabbed my stuff. I didn't even put on my jacket. I made my way out. I made my way out of the mall and basically alerted the public that there was something wrong with these young security officers, because they have high schoolers now driving people out of the mall. They said it's a public place, but they said it's private property, and so they don't have to allow me on the property to shop or to do anything. And so the reality of it is they discriminated against a 3rd time. Last year they discriminated against me from 2013 to 2014 and barred me for a year for under the false accusation of smoking dope. Somebody else had gone in there and did it, but I walked in right behind them, but I'm the one who took the fall for it. A time before that, I went to use the restroom. They came banging on the door and asked me if I had a receipt. In other words, in order for me to use the bathroom there needed to be a receipt in my hand showing that I had purchased food in the food court. So the security guard, and all of them are European. They're either European or white, and they wear white shirts. And the establishment is completely white, so they don't have any. They have something against Africans being there. You hardly see anybody of any other color except for whites on the property. So they're racist and they discriminate. And that was my last and final time that I'll be there. But anyway, so that was the mall incident. It followed me out of the mall, and I was given several warnings that I would be either attacked in the future, hit in the future, confronted. I was told that if that Mexican ever saw me again, or the white Spanish ever saw me again, he was going to kill me or get in my face. I was going to get hit. So I don't know who the guy was, but anyway, I ended up calling the police and letting them know what transpired and what took place. On the 20th, on the night of the 19th, I went back to the Portland Restoration to stay, because I was told not to stay outside because the Spanish was looking for me to take me out. They were serious. They were pissed off because I have Spanish blood. They didn't They want me preaching. It was an insult to their community. It was an insult to their race, and so I was going to get hit. So after, I guess either before or after midnight, on the 20th, I was hit again by Gabriel, and I woke up about 3:40 in the morning or so, and they had molested me again at the mission. And I told staff what had happened, or the guy that was behind behind the desk. I told him what had happened. He's a Gabriel frontline representative. He was a Hispanic guy. And then I went back and wrote down all the groups and the names of the people that have just been brought into this entire situation. All of the establishments that have been used, and all the issues that these people have literally addressed against me. I mean, it's just, the list is extensive. The places and the people. It's just a long list of where they've come out, and they won't stop coming out. With this video will be sort of like an article, and so I'll write it in the article. It's too much to say. It's going to take me too long to actually go through the list, so I'm just going to not say it, but I'll write it down and type it up, and then you can, if you want to know what or who or where or whatever, you can read the article that comes with this video. Because I have a feeling that as a community, eventually they'll catch up with each of these places, and whoever was involved in whatever is going to get hit by them if they haven't been hit already. I'm just checking my notes here, making sure that I didn't miss anything. As I'm talking to you, they're spouting out theology in the background. Anyway, that was the last hit, which was this morning, and then of course this afternoon on my way here to the library, I got hit again, same group, after I blacked out. So it's an ongoing thing with these people, and I mean, I have exhausted. I'm exhausted right now. I'm just tired from everything. I had put in an application last week for an apartment in the east side of Portland, but I don't know what the status of it is. The first part was accepted now. It was approved, but now I don't know if the second part is approved yet. Still waiting on that. Let's see. I have dealt with this situation extensively, and basically, as far as the government coming alongside and helping me, that's not going to happen. Indirectly, I'm at war with the president. With the president, and all the hits are coming out of his administration. His administration will not assist, but rather they will hit, with this way, with what Gabriel is doing, with laxative, and the stealing of the telephone that I use to take the pictures. That sort of thing, keeping me out of the apartment complex, keeping me homeless. That's basically their hit as a world and as a community of homosexuals and as a government. So it's, if you were to divide, as I showed this to Fred Myers earlier today, and I was eating lunch, and this is probably the best way to illustrate what's going on, is Oh, I thought I had it, but basically what I did was I made a division between the two. I made a division between the two sides. On the right side is the worshipers, the Christians who worship God and who have reconciled themselves to Christ. And on the left is the unbelievers who practice homosexuality and who don't like to talk about it because they're ashamed. And in the center was sort of like the cross. And the cross is the bridge in which people in the world can cross over to the church side and become worshipers and servants of God when they reconcile to God through Christ. People that are against me and don't understand my message are on the world side. They don't understand where I'm coming from, or they do, and they prefer not to obey the word of God or take God at his word. People who do understand me and understand the gospel that I've been preaching and have accepted the message that God has in the Bible, most likely they're Christians and they're worshipers. But those people, in fear of the community, they won't come out and support. So a lot of people have turned, not necessarily because of something that I will do to them, but because of what the community will do to them to destroy their lives. And so that's what's going on right now. That's the division. You're either with me or you're against me. You're either on one side or you're on the other. And what I'm finding is that most people that are with are silent and they're quiet, and they'll pray for me in the quietness of their homes or their hearts, but they'll never come up to me and actually stand with me because of fear of what this community will do to them. And that's been for the last 20 years. As far as the people that are against me, that's everybody, every establishment. It's easier to stand against me than it is to stand with me, because to stand against me means that you don't get persecuted by the community. But to stand with me means that you're going to get hit by the community, not necessarily in front of me, but behind my back. And the community will hit because of the shame and the insult of the position that God has given to them. Because he's against them and he's against their rebellion. This is the end of this video. I basically tried to catch you up to date from January 5th, 16th to the 20th. So this is what's been going on. And as far as ministry is concerned, I don't have a way of taping my messages. The message yesterday was long-winded, but I didn't have a way to record it. They have the machine and they won't give it back. And today when I tried going to Fred Meyer's to purchase a new one, they already told me that many of the features are going to be deleted out of the telephone or the computer. So automatically the gay community has taken its position again. I was warned to go back into the church, but what church am I going to go to? Because whatever church I try to put my foot in is going to be no different than what happened in Grace Community Church property. They'll eventually find something to accuse me of and drive me out. And they'll hide their homosexuality, they'll hide their sexual practices, they'll hide the fact that their marriages are not real, and they'll present themselves as real leaders, and they'll present themselves as real husbands with real wives and real children, but they won't tell me that it's all fake. So, for me to go back into that same situation all over again, it's not going to work. And I don't want to deal with the consequences of that community, in my later years that I've dealt with in my 20s, 30s, and now going into my 40s, and these people still will not release me. So, be it as it may, this is what's happening now. And for those of you who are Christians, pray for me when you watch these videos. Keep me in your prayers. Those of you who know me, and know that I don't stand with the community, not because I hate those people. I don't. I'm angry at them. I don't, but I think it's unfortunate that this is what MacArthur and Franklin has reduced themselves to in the society and in their own personal lives, siding with those people, making my life a living hell. I regret the fact that I ever came into this country and lived with Gabriel, and I regret the fact that I have rented Grace Community Church by the invitation of Scott Berggren. I had no idea this is what it was going to become. And now I don't know what the future holds. 2015 to me is just a blank page, and only God knows what's ahead. So keep me in your prayers, church.